Mbali, this weekend's provincial conference for the ANC in Mpumalanga is going ahead as planned. Tell us the latest there.
Well, in Nhlanhla, the ANC Mpumalanga conference is indeed in full swing. We do know that it started just a bit late this afternoon, but of course it saw a number of delays when it came to the registration process, when it came to a number of the delegates here obtaining of course, their accreditation. But we saw addresses from the Treasurer General of the ANC, Mr. Pule Mabe, who then went on to spread a message of unity and peace during this conference, because you would know that the Mpumalanga province has been marred with a number of violence, especially at their BGMs. We also saw a political report done by Ndlovu, who is of course the convener of the PTT here in Mpumalanga. Just before we went into this briefing in Nhlanhla, of course there was indeed a break in this session where we saw some of the delegates here being asked to move out so that they could then go in and try and adopt, of course, those credentials. But let's speak to Pule. He can give us a bit more information when it comes to this issue. Just before this session, we saw some of the members of the delegation here moving out. I understand that it was a process of trying to verify indeed who is allowed to vote at this conference.
Well, Mbali, that is really pretty standard. What we do is that in conferences of the ANC and its structures, when we get to that critical item of dealing with credentials, we have to make sure that duly accredited delegates representing their branches, those that would be delegates from regions and from the provincial structure, could then be a part of those sessions. And then you also try and demarcate the wall or sitting area to make sure that you could be able to put your non-voting delegates on one side and voting delegates on one side. But you also give your security personnel sufficient time to be able to verify once more and allocate people according to apportion sites when they enter again. This serves to just really boost the credibility of your own conference. It's what we do all the time, because we do not want non-voting delegates to find themselves, or the credibility of contest is then contested, of conference is then contested on the basis that there are people who are not supposed to vote, who are seen with their hands up adopting credentials.
Have those credentials been adopted? I know that just before an hour ago we've been dealing with that. Have they officially been adopted?
Well, they have been adopted. Actually, what has been happening as I left the hall, clarity was being provided on other, more technical issues that branch delegates were asking. As you can see, these branch delegates are well behaved. They want to see conference move further forward. One of the things that I must mention is that the new membership system of the ANC is such that your ID, your identity document, becomes the most critical feature that determines your status as a voting delegate. When you have got a tag at the voting booth, before you are given a ballot paper, verification is also going to still be done with your ID this time. So we're quite happy that the new membership system allows us to really isolate things that would undermine the credibility and integrity of our own processes. And we're happy that delegates in Mpumalanga are well behaved in the manner that they are. It's 10 o'clock in the evening, still well behaved, waiting. They will be receiving reports, the Secretary's report. They have received the political overview. We have made it public even to yourselves in the media. You have had an opportunity to engage with such. So you can see, you are here, you can see for yourself.
Pule, the conference did start off late, and you are saying that it is, of course, 10 o'clock at night, and by the program, we were expected to be done by now. When it comes to the issues still on the agenda, there's still the issues around nominations. Can we expect those nominations to take place this evening?
From where we are sitting, the program has not been altered. Well, of course, we started late. There were a number of issues, technical glitches, the system and all of that, but those things, Comrade Nomvola's team had worked on those together with the provincial coordinator, Comrade Lindiwe, to clean that. The TG himself was here since 9 o'clock in the morning, gave his own support up until a point when delegates were now asked to move outside so that they could be properly given their fair space where they need to sit. Whether if they are delegates, they will be given their own sites. If they are non-voting delegates, they will also be given their own sites. So we are confident that what needs to be concluded, at least on day one, will be processed today.
So nominations will be done today?
Of course, nominations have got, you see, Mbali, there's a process here. If there are nominations that are supposed to be done from the floor, then there's an independent electoral body that will preside over those. But if nominations done from branches that have qualified are the only nominations you have, and those that are raised from the floor do not achieve or master the required threshold, it means you will work with what comes from branches. If Mbali is nominated for a position, and for that specific position, Mbali is the only nominee, and those that are nominated from the floor do not make it to ballot, it then means that Mbali has made it to that position. But of course, Mbali would have to then wait for the conclusion of conference business to then be formally announced as this or that in that position.